my good friend Rachel Muir, who is going to help guide us through these interesting times. How are you today, Rachel?
Hello, I'm so excited to be with you today, Randy, and thrilled to be with all of our awesome guests.
Yeah, we have a lot of people signing in, and they're just waiting to hear all the good things that you have to tell them. So I'm going to step out of your way and let you get started.
Awesome. Well, welcome my fundraising friends. My name is Rachel Muir. What I do is train people to be better at their fundraising. I, like you, have spent my entire career in fundraising. I started my own nonprofit to empower girls in math, science, engineering, and technology called Girl Start. I do a lot of virtual workshops and online classes, and when I'm not fundraising, I'm parenting my twins and doing that while I'm fundraising now because they've been home for 3 weeks, and we just started distance learning Monday of this week. So they're actually taking to it really, really well. So that's one thing I am like super grateful for and excited about. And it's so great that they have something to be engaged with and stay busy. My contact information is right there, my email address and my website as well. I am a town crier for donor love, and today you are going to be getting lots of inspiration, lots of examples, lots of fun things to inspire you and watch on your own, and lots of tools to help you communicate with your donors in this crisis, because this is an opportunity. I'm being really positive here and looking at the silver lining. You've got an opportunity like you've never had before to connect with your donors. So you're going to get a lot of inspiration today, some technology to help you, and some strategies, and hopefully a confidence boost to help you fundraise bravely in turbulent waters. I want to stress that this is a marathon, not a sprint. I was just telling Randy when we started, he was like, how are things going? And I said, well, my friend told me the other day, some days are chickens, some days are feathers. And, you know, it takes a truckload of guts to fundraise on a good day. But the new mantra that I want you to repeat to yourself is, my mission didn't stop, neither should my fundraising. Okay, just say it to yourself. Just look yourself in the mirror. My mission didn't stop, neither should my fundraising. I want to invite you guys to type in your questions anytime. I've got a couple polls in here to get to know you a little bit better and understand how fundraising is working for you. But type in your questions anytime. We do have time at the end for me to answer your questions. So what I want you to do for now and for always, I would be giving you this advice if we weren't in a crisis, but I want you to be brave, and I want you to show that you deeply care about your donors, and I don't want you to stop fundraising. Your mission didn't stop, so neither should your fundraising. We're going to acknowledge the elephant in the room, and we're going to communicate appropriately, whether this impacts, whether we're directly impacted or indirectly impacted, but this is not the time to stop fundraising. And yes, Kara, you are going to get the presentation, so do not worry. So I'm going to give you guys a fundraising pep talk and some inspiration around loving on your donors, because this is a time when you have like no other to do that and to deepen your relationships with your donors. I'm going to give you lots of examples. I'm going to give you examples from stewardship examples and updates, and humorous things and fundraising appeals and everything in between, all COVID-19 specific fundraising examples. I'm going to give you scripts for calling and talking to your donors, and I'm going to give you technology tools to help you get closer to your donors. And of course, we have time for your questions, and I'm already loving the questions that are getting popped in there, and I'm super excited to answer them. And Jillian, you bet I'm going to answer that question for you. So I want to hear from you really quick, and I want you to, I'm going to just kind of introduce this poll, and then I'm going to make it live. So the first option is everybody is on board that we need to keep fundraising. Okay, safely, obviously, but we need to keep fundraising. Or development's ready to fundraise, but the CEO is not. Or development and CEO are in agreement, we've got to do this, but the board is not on board. Or 4 is, someone totally outside of your organization is not on board with fundraising. And so I'm making this poll live, and you guys should see it now and be able to vote. So you've got 4 options there. The first is everybody's on board with fundraising. The second is it's the CEO is not on board. The third option is the board isn't on board. The fourth is it's someone outside. Maybe it's a consultant or maybe it's a donor. So those are your 4 options. So let's see here. How are we doing on the polling? Okay, yay, this is awesome. Okay, so we've got 6, okay, I've got some people that are still voting, so yay, keep voting, keep voting. I'm happy and excited. So I was telling Randy, I've been doing this poll now. I've been doing webinars on how to fundraise in a crisis since mid-March, or late March, and I've been doing this poll, and I'm gonna go ahead and close this poll so you guys can see the results. Okay, so I've been doing this poll, and it's really interesting what I've seen, because when I first started doing this poll, there were a lot of people. I'm gonna see, make sure you guys can see it. When I first started doing this poll, so if you can't, just in case you can't see it, 71% of you guys all agree everyone in your organization is on board with fundraising. 13% say that development is on board, but not the CEO. 10% said development and CEO are ready to fundraise, but it is the board that isn't on board with fundraising. And then in our very last one, we have 7% of you said it's someone else completely. So we've got like, so 30% of people are getting some kind of pushback, but about 30%, but 71% of you guys are on board. So that's awesome. When I first started doing this, the numbers were far lower in terms of everyone being on board with fundraising, and that's real. So I'm really happy to see that has evolved. And if this hasn't evolved for your organization, I want you to go to this right here, worklessraisemore.com/3 phases in crisis fundraising. This came out on Monday, I believe. So this is some research and some like kind of a prediction, if you will, based on research by Stephen Screen as well as Jeff Brooks. So I'm going to mention Stephen later. Stephen has this awesome free review Fridays, every Friday, where you can submit your appeal and he'll critique your appeal. And I'm going to show you a link to where you can do that. But they just came out with this, and this is worth you looking at, especially if you are in a position for those 30% of you where you're still seeing pushback. So basically there's a PDF here and there's a short video where he explains that, but he basically explains like 3 phases. And this is based on research. This is based on prior, fundraising events, natural disasters, and we're still in phase 1 right now. So phase 1 is the bump. There are, of course, organizations that are serving in a disaster raise a lot of money during this spike. There's also a halo effect where people who are more charitable than usual, even to causes unrelated to the disaster. So, and I'm going to talk about this, but right now, I don't want you to stop your fundraising. People are feeling overwhelmed, they're feeling uncertain, but they loved your organization before, they loved your mission before, they want to see you survive this, they want to see you thrive. And there are a lot of people who have not lost their jobs, who are able to work from home, who have maybe they have retirement income. They were spending lots of money before going out and spending lots of money on entertainment. They're not spending that money now. They want to give. Giving feels good to donors. Giving gives donors a sense of control. So this is the phase that we're in right now, where many organizations are seeing great success in fundraising. This is one thing that I really love seeing. I really love hearing from people and hearing from how their fundraising is going, because there's so much fear right now that we all have. And I'm hearing a lot of fear from fundraisers about fundraising. So it's really nice to hear people having success and having a really positive experience. Do not go silent right now. Keep in touch with your donors. I'm going to give you lots of examples and lots of strategies for how to do this. But you can learn more about these 3 phases. But one of the main things about these 3 phases that I want to point out to you is that not fundraising now, not communicating with your donors, getting paralyzed by this, it will cause a dip, and it will cause a dip that will be very, very difficult for you to recover from. But this is worth a read, especially for anyone here who is having a hard time getting their board on board with fundraising or getting their CEO on board with fundraising. What we know from prior disasters, and I'm from Austin, Texas, so we had Hurricane Harvey here right next door in Houston. This is a photo of the tsunami. Whether it's the bushfires in Australia, whether it's a tsunami, you know, a lot of organizations pulled back during these other crises, and they suppressed their fundraising, and they didn't fundraise. And when you don't give your donors an opportunity to give, you won't see results. And the truth is, your donors want to give, and giving gives your donors a sense of purpose and a sense of meaning. And especially when they're not feeling like they have control, they want to be able to do something. So any fundraising you don't do is guaranteed 0 revenue, and it's a lost opportunity that you are not going to get back. So for those 30% of people who are not have someone objecting to fundraising right now, it would be creepy to claim that you're donating to you was going to support COVID good works when they won't. Okay, lying to donors, that's creepy, that's unethical. But if your ability to provide services is hampered, if you're on the verge or you're already cutting services, if your clients are impacted, if your clients are impacted directly, if your clients are impacted indirectly, your donors loved you before, and there's no reason not to love you now. They may choose to give, they may not choose to give. Some donors will give, some donors will give more, some donors may choose not to give. But let them decide. They're adults. They can make up their minds. Let them decide. Don't decide for them. If you are afraid of asking right now, why don't you just type into the chat and just say yes if anyone is feeling, and it's okay. You know what? Because like I said earlier, fundraising takes a truckload of guts on a good day. So, you know, it isn't, you're not, it's okay if you're feeling afraid or if you're feeling overwhelmed right now. But I don't see anyone type into the chat if they are or not. But if you are afraid of asking right now, let's just walk through what is the worst thing that could possibly happen. Like, what is the worst thing? You're afraid of doing this right now, you do it. Like, what is the absolute worst thing that happened? Okay, well, maybe it doesn't do so well as an appeal. Maybe it doesn't. But you know what? If you don't do anything, I can promise you, and Randy can promise you, and we can like bet the bank that if you don't do anything, absolutely nothing is going to happen. You may be afraid that you're going to offend somebody. I don't know if anyone in here is afraid that they are going to offend somebody. Your job is not to offend as few people. Your job is not to offend as few people as possible. Your job is to serve your clients and your donors and your cause and your mission. And you have a big mission and you have a job to do. And you are not here on this earth to play small. You didn't join this profession, this honorable and exhausting and amazing and fantastic profession, to play small. You will not win over all of the people all of the time. I will not win over all of the people all the time. Neither will Randy. We're not going to lose sleep at night because we didn't make all the people happy. We're going to wake up every day and be our best selves and do the best job that we possibly can. Sometimes you might offend somebody. It's going to happen, you know, and I can tell you, and I know Randy feels the same way, like as a marketer, It takes a lot to get attention. As a fundraiser, you know, it takes a lot to get attention, and you're not going to always make all the people happy all of the time. If they don't want to give, they won't give. But your job is not to offend as little people, as few as possible. Your job is to get out there and do the best fundraising you've ever done and develop deep and meaningful relationships with your donors. You have a golden opportunity right now, my friends, like you've never had before. And I want to see you use it. And I know that Randy does too. Okay, so I have another poll, my fundraising friends, just to get to know you a little bit better. And this is just me kind of getting a sense of what you've done so far. So this is a new poll that I'm going to throw up here. And we've got a few different options here. We've got 5 different options. So the first is I've sent an update, and you know, I mentioned the coronavirus, right, in my update. The second is I've sent an appeal, and you know, I'm hoping you, I'm asking specifically an appeal that acknowledged the elephant in the room, whether this is impacting your beneficiaries or directly or indirectly, like you mentioned coronavirus. So the first option is I just did an update. The second is I did an appeal. The third option I did just updates, but not an ask. The fourth option is I've sent multiple updates and multiple appeals. Fundraising through the coronavirus. I've mentioned the coronavirus in my appeals. So this is interesting. So I have about 22% have only done an update. We still have people voting, so get in your votes. We're only like at 60%. This is really fascinating because this is really all over the map here. Most people have sent multiple updates and appeals. That's good. Many people, the next largest group so far, it's kind of a tie, is multiple updates and people who have just done one update. So this is really, really interesting. So about 73% of you guys have voted, and it looks like so far 26% of you have done multiple updates and appeals, and 15% of you have done one appeal. But what I'm getting from this, and a big number, 14%, have not done anything yet. So what I'm taking from this poll is that many of you have not done any fundraising appeals since this happened. So I'm going to hit share, and hopefully you guys can see the results. Okay, perfect. So you guys can see that. So this is kind of sobering and pretty interesting. So you have an opportunity here, and I'm going to give you the good news about today, my fundraising friends, is as soon as we're done with our pep talk, we are going to move straight into examples of connecting with your donors, examples of appeals, examples of updates, and I'm going to give you more resources at the end. So if you have not done an appeal and you are being impacted, you need to get out there, and I encourage you to watch that resource that I mentioned from Stephen's screen, because we're in the beginning phase of this, and as this continues, there's going to be a lot more noise, and there's going to be a lot more competition for your donors' attention. So do you ever like to think to yourself like, oh, what would Oprah do? Oh, what would Ellen DeGeneres do? Like, if Ellen DeGeneres was my boss, what would she tell me to do? So I love this writer, Cheryl Strayed. I have read every book that she's ever written, and you know, I was thinking about, gosh, like, what would, if Cheryl Strayed was the CEO and I was a fundraiser, I wonder what advice she would give the fundraisers. So this is just some advice from Dear Sugar. She used to have this column called Dear Sugar where people would send in questions and she would give them advice. But I want you to take this to heart. And I love this quote. This is not the moment to wilt into the underbrush of your insecurities. You join this profession to make the world a better place, and we need your talents. And this isn't the time to give up. The world needs you. You have an important mission. Your donors need you. Your donors are feeling just as isolated, just as alone, just as fearful as you are. And this is your moment to connect with them and give them an opportunity to deepen their relationship with you and give them an opportunity to feel comforted. So I love Cheryl Strayed. She's amazing. And I just love all of her books and I find her really inspirational. And here's someone else I really adore. This is Dr. Jen Shing. She is the world's first philanthropic psychologist. So I have had the pleasure of doing some fundraising research with Dr. Jen Shing. This is her website. She's the co-founder of the Philanthropy Institute. She did an amazing webinar last week, and she talked about donor love. And she talked about what are the psychological needs that your donors have right now. And she's stressed, and I've heard lots of great fundraisers stress this, and I'm stressing this to you. This is not the time to stop fundraising. This is not the time to throw best practices out the window. This is the time to make the best fundraising shine even brighter. This is the time where you can deepen relationships with your donors like you've never done before. And this is a time for you to be innovative and creative. And I'm so excited to share so many examples with you today to help you think outside the box and be innovative and creative. So, quick psychology lesson from Jen here. Humans have 3 basic psychological needs: connectedness, autonomy, and competence. She did this webinar. I asked her if she was doing it again. She said they probably were going to do it again. So that's her URL. I told her I was going to promote this URL so people could sign up. I adore her. She is brilliant. But the main thing that I learned from tuning in and watching her webinar, this is a primary human need. This is a basic human need, like, you know, food, water, shelter. Being connected is a primary human need, and we can't do that right now. But you have an opportunity, my fundraising friends. You have an opportunity to connect with your donors, and you have an opportunity right now like you've never had before to help your donors feel cared for and help your donors feel listened to and cared for and comforted. And it's really as simple as you picking up the phone or picking up your mobile device, sending an email, sending a video email. I'm going to show you lots of creative ways to help you be successful doing that. But this is the time to show support. This is the moment. We are in a time of crisis. Jen talked about wartime and peacetime on her webinar. This is the moment. This is when relationships that were transactional suddenly become a lot deeper. But it's up to you to make that happen. And I train fundraisers for a living. I love training fundraisers. It's my favorite thing in the world. I love helping people feel more confident as fundraisers. I have a student joining us, Sarah Jelly, who was in my online class, one of my early graduates. I love helping people feel more confident about their fundraising. And this is advice that I would have given you in peacetime. And Sarah probably remembers me telling her this. I would have told you this on a good day. I'd said it before and I'll say it again. The best way to have a meaningful relationship with the donor is to be meaningful to them. And the silver lining in this massive pandemic is that you now have an opportunity, the work to be deeply meaningful and relevant to your donors. All it takes is you reaching out to your donors. And I'm going to show you some awesome tools to help you do this. Building relationships is not optional in fundraising. It is inherent in what fundraising actually is. This is what fundraising is. Fundraising is about building relationships. This is like why I love fundraising. I'm a warm-hearted mushball, and I'm not afraid to be sappy. And I love fundraising because it's an opportunity to find out how people want to be important and make a difference and make the world a better place, and to get to know people on a really deep and intimate level. And you have a chance to do that, my fundraising friends, and it's up to you to take advantage of that. You just have to pick up the phone in order to be able to do it. And when you pick up that phone, and I'm going to show you some scripts, the goal here is not to impress people. Like, I would have told you this before I would have told you, hey, the goal is not to impress people. The goal is to let other people impress you with who they are and how they see the world. But today I'm telling you the goal is not to impress people, but to let them know you care. That is your goal. It is plain, it is simple, it is real, it is genuine. And who in here is willing to admit that picking up the phone and calling like 100 donors in a day makes them a little nervous? Maybe like right now you're just like, just type yes into the questions box if you're like, okay, I'm a little nervous, Rachel. I've got like 3 kids in the background. The yard guys keep, you know, my neighbors are fighting. I actually walked by my neighbors, and oh my God, they were having a really bad fight. But I get it, like they're cooped up inside, you know, so I get it. So a lot of you, kudos for being willing to just tell me that you're nervous about it. So I'm giving you a life hack, my fundraising friends. This is a short TED Talk that's really inspirational that you can watch. This is Amy Cuddy. This is one of the most popular TED Talks of all time. She's written books since then. This is a simple life hack. If you're feeling nervous, I want you to do this before you pick up that phone, okay? We're looking at Oprah herself. I have met her. It was amazing. I got to shake her hand. I got to be on her show. It was like the most exciting 40 seconds of my life touching Oprah. This is Oprah. This is Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger's doing the victory pose. These are powerful poses, okay? When Amy did in her experiment, you know, if Amy would tell you, if I told you right now that your body language influences how people perceive you, no one would argue with me. But if I told you how your body language influences how you perceive yourself, you might be a little skeptical or surprised. So here's what she found in her experiment. She had people go out and hold these powerful poses for like 90 seconds. And what she found is that these powerful poses, and basically this is the victory pose that Mick Jagger's doing, this pose by Oprah, this is a very powerful pose. These are done like across all cultures. These are done sighted people, blind people. These are poses that indicate power and forcefulness and dominance. And when you take on a powerful pose like this, another powerful pose, the Wonder Woman pose, standing with your feet slightly apart, your hands on your hips, looking straight ahead, that is a very powerful pose. So strike a pose, my fundraising friends, before you make these calls. Hold a pose for a couple minutes. Do this anytime you're about to do something you're nervous about. What she found in her study is that people's stress hormones went down and their confidence levels went up. Their dominance levels, testosterone, their bodies were flooded with testosterone. They were remarkably much more powerful and much more confident. So do this, strike a power pose, strike a Wonder Woman pose before you make these calls. If you have board members who want to help and don't know what to do, they can also call. We know from many studies that having board members call and thank donors does a lot to boost donor giving and does a lot to boost donor retention. Oh, I'm so excited that Beverly Safel is here. I love that. Hello, Beverly. If you have board members calling and thanking donors, give them a script. Here's a sample script. I'm just calling to check on you and thank you for being part of our family. How are you right now? That is the single most important question you can possibly ask. How are you right now? And then I just want you to be quiet and listen. I just want you to be quiet and listen. And then you can offer, is there anything you can do for them? This is a phone script for staff. Introduce yourself. I'm calling to see how you are. How are you? Just ask. Is there anything I can do for you? And of course, you have an opportunity to thank them. Of course, I would tell anyone before you call them, know their giving history. Be ready. They might ask you a question like, how are things going? What's happening with programs? Is there anything I can do right now to support you? They might make a gift right there on the phone. This is an actual phone script. I had someone email me and say, oh, I don't know if he's joining us today, Richard. I encouraged him to join us today, but he had shared this script that he was going to use, and I was like, oh, I don't like this script. The script was like, are you watching any good TV shows right now? And the thing that I want everybody to know is like, we're all in this together. We're all taking a bath in these same news headlines. And I don't know about you, but like my mood can be all over the place. You know, I might be like feeling so happy that my kids are doing pretty well at this whole distance learning thing and doing it on their own and not like bothering me. And then I might see a headline and be totally crushed and feeling and panicking and feeling really sad the next minute. So I just want you to ask, how are you doing? And I want you to listen. I don't want you to start with what shows are you watching, because if they're in a dark place, or if they're in a grieving place, or in a place of a lot of worry, it might sound insensitive. So I just want you to lead with, how are you doing? Oh, hello, he's here. Richard's here. How are you doing? Okay, so this is a script that I wrote for Richard, my fundraising friend. I'm calling to think of you in this difficult time. I'm just calling to check on you and see how you're doing. Okay, this first script is just, how are you doing? That's it. That's if he gets a human on the phone. The other script is if Richard's leaving a voicemail. And yes, I want you to leave a voicemail. I don't want you to just hang up. I want you to leave a voicemail. That's a script. You know, go with that. Edit it however. This needs to sound warm and conversational and off the cuff. So just these are the main points: who you are, why you're calling, empathy. You have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, some empathy, some acknowledgement, invite them to call you back or to text you back, and just sign up letting them know that you're thinking about them. Yes, you're gonna have the slides, Katie, and it has these scripts in it. Welcome to the 21st century version of phone calls, right? Am I right? Texting. So I mentioned Hurricane Harvey. Team Rubicon, awesome organization. I'm proud to be a donor to Team Rubicon. They asked for, so my friend Lynn made a donation to Team Rubicon, and she made a donation on her mobile device. So during Hurricane Harvey, we didn't have internet, so all the donations people were making were on their cell phones, and she got a text back, and she got lots of awesome updates from them with these awesome mobile updates. So I think this texting is an amazing tool, and I think it's a really great tool for you to use for stewardship. So you're seeing some examples right here. These are my peacetime examples. These are things that I gladly share, and don't worry, do I have COVID-19 examples? Absolutely. So these are a couple examples, and this is from my friend Justin Bear, who is the CEO of Textology. It's textology.co. This is a company that does texting, and I asked Justin, will you give people, I love your tool. This is me, okay? I'm the kind of person, I see something, I pick up the phone, I call the CEO, I call the company, who knows who's gonna answer. Justin Bear, the CEO, picked up the phone, and I was like, Justin, I found out about you from my friend Lynn Wester. I think this is really cool. I train people to be better at their fundraising, and I just wanna show you off. Can I show off your tool? Can I send you some, can I write like some sample text messages a nonprofit might send a donor, and will you make me some examples? And he was like, of course. So bragging on my girl, Julie Edwards, the executive director of the Humane Society of Northeast Georgia. She did a fundraising campaign for this awesome dog, Sunny. I was so proud to donate to her campaign. And this was, these were some thanks that she gave. So these are some examples from Sunny. This is some examples from, this is a made up example from the ARC. This is like stuff I make up. But Justin will give you a free 30-day trial of this, a free 30-day trial. And these are some COVID-19 check-in text examples. I made this up this morning, this one over here, and I can't wait to send it to my friend Lindsay from Audubon. So this is, hi Mark, it's Lindsay from Audubon sending a little bird there, be your rate. I'm thinking of you in this difficult time. How are you doing? And then I made up this example for my friend Richard from Forever Homes for Foster Kids. And I thought, okay, I thought about Richard, and I thought, what could Richard use? Richard can't really use photos here, but you know what? Richard could use emojis. So I just made this up. I literally texted this to my husband this morning and asked him to send me a screenshot of it. Hey, Mark, it's Rachel from Forever Homes for Foster Kids. I'm thinking of you, and I want to make sure you're okay. How are you doing? Super simple, super easy. Okay, so I have a question from Liberty. How do you know if texting is okay, even if you're texting a cell phone or landline? Awesome question, Liberty, and I'm so happy that I have an answer for you. This is one of the reasons why I love this tool so much. And you do have a free 30-day trial. Just say, hey, I was at this webinar that Rachel did. His name's Justin. He's amazing. You can upload your file of phone numbers, Liberty, and Justin will tell you this is a landline. His system will tell you what is a landline and what is a mobile a mobile device. So you upload it and it'll tell you. I want to stress something. These are one-offs. This is not a text that you're sending. You're not sending the same text to like 7,000 people. He has another tool called member text that you can use if you want to do that. These are one-off texts. So the difference between those two things is if you send a message to like 500 people, it's gonna respond with the mobile opt-in and text messaging rates may apply, blah, 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 hit stop to unsubscribe. This is not gonna do that. This is literally one-off text messages. This is brilliant, this is genius. This is something you can absolutely do right now and will be brilliant to do right now. I would recommend you do this in peacetime because there's this thing called silence unknown callers and text open rates average 98%. And the other super cool thing about this, and I just love finding awesome tools for people to use with their fundraising. The other really awesome thing about this is that even though you're sending a text message, and I think you can use this for Canada. I'm pretty sure, Carrie, I actually had that question a couple weeks ago, and I'm pretty sure the answer is yes, like 99.9% sure. But even though you are sending these as text messages, how cool is this, friends? You can manage the whole thing from your desktop, I don't work for Textology. I'm not related to Justin. I don't get paid if you sign up. I just I'm train people for a living to be better at their fundraising. And I like to find the tools to save you time and help you be better at what you do. So you can manage this whole thing from your inbox, which is pretty cool and amazing, kind of like in Gmail where it has like, you know, like there's canned responses in Gmail. You can use the same, you can just keep copying and pasting the same thing, but these are literally one-off messages. Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys some COVID-19 examples, and then I'm going to show you some more tools. Okay, I have permission from my friend Becky Free at Pinewoods Alliance to show you this super simple email. She sent this on Friday, March 20th. Look at the subject line. We are thinking about you. So if my memory is correct, it is, sorry, someone else. It's textology.co is the name of the company. So Becky sent this out, super easy, super simple, great subject line. If I remember correctly, like 20% of you had sent out some kind of an update. This is a warm, heartfelt, we're thinking about you. Look, this is so simple. This is so fast. This is so easy. This is just, hey, this has been a difficult time for all of us. You're facing challenges you never imagined. I love, she's acknowledging the elephant in the room. She is showing great empathy for her donors. You know, every week that this crisis continues, we're kind of deeper and deeper in this unknown territory. So you need to acknowledge the elephant in the room. You need to show empathy. This shows me that she gets me and she knows how I'm feeling and she understands I might be worried and that I'm facing new challenges I haven't faced before. Please know that we're thinking about you and our family. Our heart goes out to everyone who's struggling right now. So she's got some resources here from their website, links about hiking, biking, bird watching, you know, things to do in social isolation, but still outside. So very nice, very heartfelt, really great, you know, and I love that subject line, we're thinking of you. Here's another example. Yay, Catherine Tank, my girl. Oh, I love Catherine Tank. She just signed up for a free demo with Justin. And she's, I'm totally gonna brag on, introduce people to Bomb Bomb later. These are some concrete actions donors can take. So we're feeling powerless right now. Are there advocacy actions that your donors can take right now? Is there something that you can give your donors that they can do so that they can feel powerful and like they're helping? Of course, obviously donating is a really, really big one, but I'm just sharing an example of a concrete action donors can take. Great example from Amnesty International here. I wish I'm still trying to get my hands on this email. I'm gonna tell you, and we might go a little bit over. I hope that's okay, Randy, if we go just like maybe 10 or 15 minutes over past the hour. I got this email and I'm trying to find it in my inbox, and I even emailed Indivisible to ask, but once upon a time, so I'm involved in an awesome group called Indivisible, and once upon a time there was a Democratic battle that we were fighting, and we didn't make it. We didn't win it. And everyone had put so much energy and effort into it. This is after Indivisible had started. And I don't even remember. So much has happened the past 2 weeks. My memory's been slightly erased. But they sent me this email and they said, we're emailing you to check on you. That's what friends do. Friends take care of each other and friends look out after each other. And this is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. And we have to take care of each other because we've got to keep fighting this battle. And it was like, yes, you get me. You realize I've been working hard at this. You're looking out after me. It was amazing. Someday I'm going to get my hands on it and share it with you. But I'm going to give you a virtual version of this. And I love this. This is from the Royal National Lifeboat Institute from the UK, seafaring nation, right? And this is just like we have volunteer firefighters, they have volunteer rescue lifeboat crews, and these are out there rescuing people on the high seas, okay? These are brave people risking life and limb to go out there and rescue people on the high seas. And this is a beautiful message. You are part of our crew. So that, go to this bit.ly link. It's RNLI, all caps, video. But this is this beautiful video. And he says, hey, my name's Dave. I'm a volunteer crew member. When we answer the call for help, it's an uncertain time. We don't know what we're going to face. And when we're going to see our loved ones again, and you're probably feeling uncertain about the future too. That's why I wanted to get in touch. Today, we're sending our support to you because you're part of the crew, and crew members look out after each other. So on behalf of the Royal National Lifeboat Institute, thank you for thinking of us. Right now, we're thinking of you. We hope you're able to stay safe. Take care. Beautiful, heartfelt, so meaningful. You know, it's acknowledging we're all feeling uncertain, and it's acknowledging we're sending our support to you because you're part of our family, you're part of the crew. And what we do as crew members is we look out for each other. This is so beautiful. I hope you watch this video. You will be so inspired by it. The next video that I want you to watch, and I'm sorry, GoToWebinar doesn't really let us play videos really nicely. It can get really pixelated. But watch this one. I found this one from my friend Lynn Wester. This is epic. I'm just going to read you the script. It is incredible. Today we are faced with anxiety and uncertainty. This is a video that's done for everyone who's supporting the university. So this is Valdosta State University, and they're known as Blazer Nation. Today we are faced with anxiety and uncertainty. We have questions about our futures and this new reality that we each must face. Might we, in this season of change, offer love, compassion, and kindness to our neighbors, to our seniors? Know that your future is bright and that your greatest moments of celebration are yet to come. To our many student athletes, know that you will find victory again and that the bonds you have made with your teammates will last a lifetime. To our faculty and staff, know that your vision and impact has never been greater. I'm trying not to choke up here. You have to watch this video. The lessons and guidance you give at this time will shape your students for years to come. And to the millions on Blazer Nation, home and abroad, remember that a blaze is always brightest in the dark. Continue to love, cherish, and value what means most, and know that deep within the longleaf pines, there's a place waiting to welcome you home. So beautiful. Try not to choke up here. You have to watch this video. It is amazing, but think about all the things that video does. It honors our experience. It talks about the things that unites us. It speaks directly to our pain points of feeling isolated and alone. It makes you feel like you're part of this family and that they are there to welcome you home. It's such a beautiful tribute. This is the time to be vulnerable. This is the time to be heartfelt. This is the time to connect with your donors. You have an opportunity to acknowledge how they're feeling. You have an opportunity to connect with them. And when you do connect with them on this level, they will feel like, God, we got through that together. And I've never loved you more. Who will they remember? They will remember these moments. So this is another one. This is a really beautiful one. This is from another one, example that I found from my amazing friend, Lynn Wester. This is from the University of South Carolina. I believe that this is actually done by a student, but this is a really beautiful tribute that really acknowledges students, you know, at the university not being able to take that final walk, but honoring and cherishing all of their memories and what they gained. So these are just beautiful. I'm going to show you some more examples. Some of these are fundraising examples. Some of these are just updates to help you guys, if you're feeling paralyzed, if you're feeling overwhelmed, think creatively about how can I communicate with my donors right now? Because we're all in this together, and we can all lift each other up, and we can all connect with one another right now, because the one thing we need, that's a basic human need, is connectedness. And you have an opportunity to provide that to your donors. So Shed Aquarium, I don't know if anyone has seen these awesome updates here. We've got Wellington the penguin, and we've got Tyson the porcupine, and the animals, because the Shed Aquarium is closed, the animals got to take a field trip, and they got to walk around the aquarium and see, see the Wellington the penguin got to visit the stingrays, and the porcupine got to visit the penguin habitat. Like, I would never normally get to see something like this, but now I can see this. And I actually visited their Facebook page the other day, and they had this awesome jelly cam, and they were fundraising around a jelly cam almost as of I guess this is yesterday or the day before yesterday. But at that moment when I went, I don't know how Monterey Bay Aquarium, okay, so different, I don't know how they're doing now with Monterey Bay Aquarium in terms of this fundraising goal, but as of when I went, they had raised almost $8,000. They raised almost $7,500, and they were saying, hey, we're running a special fundraising jelly cam for the animals at the aquarium. Super creative idea. You know what? I feel so relaxed when I just watch this jelly cam. And that's not normally something I normally don't sit at my desk and watch jelly cams. I'm normally not doing that, but this is super creative, this is something that gave me so much laughs the other day. I came across this National Cowboy Museum. I heard about this on Board Panda. And so the National Cowboy Museum is closed. But the security guard was kind of taking care of the Twitter for them, right? This security guard, like, this is hilarious. I mean, if you Google this, you're just gonna cry laughing, or just go follow them. But he doesn't know how to use Twitter. He's totally new to Twitter, and it's really funny watching him like learn Twitter. He's, oh, sorry, I thought I was, Twitter tips, please. And then it's, oh, I'm sorry, I thought I was Googling that. But he's sharing information. He's like, behind the scenes, he's doing security at this museum, and no one's there, and he's narrating through the exhibits. Laura says she's following him, and he's awesome. It is really uplifting and hilarious. For a while there, he was doing this hashtag John Wayne, where he typed out the whole hashtag. I think he's still doing it, but it's funny, it's relatable, it's entertaining. I saw this, and this still motivates me. I love Avonlea Dance Theater. Someday when this is all over, I can't wait to go. But this is a beautiful, what they did is this, all the dancers, this was early on, this was like in the mid-March or late March, all the dancers warming up to Revelations and performing Revelations, and they're doing it separately in their backyard or in their living room, and they've got a roommate that's drinking a cup of coffee, and like, yeah, he does, the cowboy has t-shirts for sale, Tim. But you get a slice of life of what these dancers' lives are like, and what their homes are like, and how they're coping, and you get to hear the beauty and see the wonder of this incredible performance, and it's just so motivating and so uplifting. You can watch it there. I made that bit.ly link for you guys to watch it, but they're still dancing, and it's beautiful, and it just makes me think about how I can't wait to go see them. This is an example I am so excited to brag on. I told my friend Randy, I was like, I'm totally gonna be bragging on the Humane Society of Northeast Georgia. So I love the Humane Society of Northeast Georgia. I mentioned then earlier, I'm a donor. I just became a monthly donor a couple weeks ago. And last week I made another gift because I saw this, or maybe it was earlier this week. Earlier this week I made it a gift. So last week I became a monthly donor. This week I made another gift. All my days are mixed up, but I couldn't contain myself. I mean, I just became a monthly donor, but then I saw this. If anyone in here has watched Joe Exotic, This is hilarious. So this is Catman Bob. Catman Bob is his real name is Bob, but they call him Catman Bob. And you have to watch this. I made this bit.ly link, capitalize the C and capitalize the K. When you type out this bit.ly link, you can watch this hilarious video of Catman Bob. He got dressed up. He's obviously dressed up. If you've seen if you've seen this show, then you know who this is, okay? So he gets dressed up as Carol Baskin. He's got on a wig. He's got on this Ivy kind of head get up. He's borrowed a leopard print shirt from the executive director. And oh, yay, Julie's here. Yay. I'm getting to brag on this. And he does this hilarious, challenge inviting people to support the Furry Friends of the Humane Society with their quarantine partner challenge. And it's hilarious. You watch it, please join the challenge. It's amazing. But I love this behind the scenes. In this, he says, praise cheetahs, which I just died laughing. But this is it's so entertaining, and it's such a great behind the scenes invitation. And, Julie was like, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do? We need to come up with something creative. We want to do a, fundraising campaign and invite people to do this challenge. How are we going to do this? And they nailed it out of the park. This is so much fun to watch, so fantastic. So I encourage you to watch this video. I made this bit.ly link. Watch Catman Bob. Sign up. They're amazing, and I just love supporting them. They just and I'll always have these memories of all the creative things that they did, and I will always get to feel like I got to be a tiny part of cheering them on and supporting them. And that's what you're giving your donors. They may feel like things are out of control and they don't know what's going to happen. And if they're control freaks like me, they don't really feel comfortable like that. But this is an opportunity for them to be significant. And if you don't ask, you won't get. And if they don't want to give, they won't give. But many donors will give. This is an example of an appeal that is addressing the coronavirus, but is not directly impacted. And they say right off the bat, the truth is we had important work planned before any of us knew the extent of coronavirus, and that work must continue. So you have to acknowledge the elephant in the room. You're going to sound completely tone deaf if you don't, but this is a very direct way to address it if you are not directly impacted. This is an example of a coronavirus appeals. There are oodles of, I have a URL with coronavirus appeal examples. Bloomring has oodles. They're adding more every day, but you can see all of their resources. This is the one that my friend Steven got. COVID-19 is here, so is kitten season. And it's very direct, written first person with I'm gonna level with you. Very direct, very passionate. If you want help with your appeals, Stephen Screen does this every Friday. You can sign up, you can submit your appeal letter and get live feedback on it. I'm going to share some tools to make it easy for you. I do not work for these companies. I mentioned already one of my favorite tools. I mentioned Textology, and Catherine and anyone else who signs up, you have to send me some of your examples. My cell phone's all over my website. Send me some of your examples so I can show you off. I'm always doing webinars. I've got one coming up where I'm specifically talking about just about technology tools, and I'm also joined by Rachel Clemens, who's going to be from Mighty Citizen, who's going to be sharing productivity tools, and I'm joined by Julia Campbell, who's going to be showing social media tools. So that's coming up. If you want to sign up for that, you can sign up for that there. I'm going to show you one of my all-time favorite tools, which is BombBomb Video Email. I love BombBomb Video Email. Surprise, surprise, she's probably blushing right now. In a minute, I'm going to show you another Julie example. So sorry, I realized email is misspelled up there, but this is BombBomb Video Email. You can shoot emails directly from your inbox. Like this is one from my inbox. I didn't even open the stationery that I have in BombBomb. You can do a free 2-week trial. BombBomb is also doing free accounts for teachers. They're an awesome company. They are in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Their tool costs $470 is their nonprofit rate for 1 year. It's a 1-year upfront fee. It is an amazing tool. I love it. It is a great way to be there with your donors when you can't. These are some examples of people using BombBomb. This is a student from my class, Boy Scouts of Blue Mountain Council. They rescheduled their big gala. He sent a BombBomb video email letting everyone know he wore his uniform. Big hit. Here's my girl Julie. You can watch an adorable video of Julie right up there. That bit.ly link, Julie Puppy, capitalize the J. You can see Julie and Sweet Potato Pie, that adorable puppy that is in her lap. And she just shot this after Giving Tuesday, off the cuff, unscripted, quick and simple thank you for her donor. Very real, very genuine. This is one that I made, a made up video that I made thanking a donor, and I'm acknowledging, like, number one thing, I want every single person on this webinar, you need to acknowledge in your thank you what an amazing human being your donor is to be giving in a time that is so worrying and stressful for everyone. You have to acknowledge it in your acknowledgement. This isn't business as usual. So when I said in here is, Julie, the fact that at a time that is so worrying and stressful for everyone, you chose to think about others speaks volumes about who you are. Steal that, use that. You need that sentence in your thanks. Check your autoresponders, check your thank you letters. It needs to say, it needs to honor them for being such a generous human being to give a ton like that. I also put in a link in there to my calendar just in case she wants to chat. What I love about this tool, I have some, kind of sleuthing tendencies. And what's super cool about this tool is you can set it so that you're notified every time they watch the video. Now, unfortunate fact, we won't do this in the future, but Julie is going to get a notification when you watch that video because she set it to notify her when her donor watched it. So you can set it to notify you or not, but what's nice is if you set it, you can set it to notify you when they watch the video or when they open the email or when they click on a link. And it's a really nice way to know, is my message getting through? Okay, so that's bombbomb.com. You can do a free 2-week trial. Another vendor in this space is ThankView. ThankView is very popular in the higher ed market, and it kind of physically looks a little bit like a paperless post. You can use like your logo as the interior envelope there. My last tool that I'm going to share, and then I'm going to dig straight into your questions, is the Felt app. So this is a really neat tool that you can use to send a card, an actual physical card to your donors. I found out about this company from watching Shark Tank with my kids, and I contacted them, and I actually talked to the founder who was on Shark Tank yesterday because I asked him, hey, what if someone wants to literally send like 1,000 thank you cards? How much does that cost? But you can do a free trial. It's like $6 a month to send up to 3 cards. It's like $15 a month to send more. Yes, you can send 1,000 if you want. I believe if you send 1,000, it's like $2 a card. Yes, you can send them international. Yes, postage is a little more. But that is a really neat tool that you can use. And these are some examples. Before this crisis, I did board retreats in person, but I can totally do them virtually now. But that's an example of a thank you card that I sent because I had a photo. The board members wanted to take a photo, and we did. And I sent the development director who hired me, who is amazing, this card. So check them out, feltapp.com. They will make your own stationery with your logo, which is really fantastic. I've got more webinars coming up. I mentioned one that I have coming up that's specifically just about fundraising tools, and I have some special guests for that. I'm doing webinars all the time, including a lot of new programs and new ways to work with me, including doing webinars for your AFP chapter, your AFP members, or if you're a membership organization for the nonprofits that you serve. So I am going to dig into these questions, my fundraising friends, because I know that there are quite a few. And while I'm digging into these questions, I am just going to leave my my contact information up here so that you can access it. If you can sign up for webinars, I have a whole page with some COVID resources, but there's lots of COVID resources out there, and I'm updating it all the time. So I'm going to dig into these questions, and I'm just going to scroll up here. There were a lot, and so one of the first questions that we got here was, okay, I'm scrolling up here. It was from Jillian. Jillian asked, I want to get this, I'm going to tackle this one first. Jillian said, how do you respond to constituents who are upset by being asked for a contribution, whether it be through a membership renewal or donation? You will not make all of the people happy all of the time. There are people who love you and who will give to you. I want you to do the best job that you possibly can in writing your appeal. It needs to be specific, it needs to be tangible, it needs to be personal. All the best practices that you would have used yesterday in writing an appeal apply. There's a lot more urgency today, but you're not going to always make all the people happy, and you have to just accept that and move on. You've got a big mission to fill, and you're trying to make the world a better place, and you need to let your passion for your mission and the vision that you have for how you're going to make a difference and what you're going to achieve allow you to be able to shake off the haters, okay? Not everyone is going to give. Some people will give. Some people will give more than they normally give. Some people won't give. But if you're doing all I'm asking you to do is continue fundraising and continue being a great fundraiser. Do all the same best practices that you normally would. Amy asked, what do you do if your organization's leadership disagrees about fundraising continuing? I would invite you to I've started this webinar with some new research that's just come out on the 3 phases of crisis fundraising. And I mentioned very heavily at the beginning of this webinar, if you are in a position where someone is challenging you on that, you need to have them read that, because there are phases in this crisis, and there's some predictability in terms of response, and the people that are nimble and the people that are fast and the people that get in front of this now and don't stop fundraising are the people that are going to weather this storm better than people who don't, who choose not to participate or sit this out or be paralyzed or wait and fundraise later. Okay. Margie said, my fear is spreading the virus through snail mail. Your thoughts? This is the time to do digital fundraising. If you can do, a lot of places can't print anymore. The Feld app is still printing thank you cards, just by the way. But a lot of people, that's one of the reasons why I showed you that awesome texting tool, Textology, and you can check them out at textology.co. But this is the time to do digital. This is a time for digital fundraising. This is a time for online fundraising. This is the time, my fundraising friends. So there's an answer for that, and it's very, very doable, and it's you doing email appeals and doing digital appeals. Angelica asked, what if development doesn't want to offend anyone or is nervous about proceeding? Again, I'm going to invite you, and I will go over here, and I'm just going to go to this very first slide. Whoops. I'm just going to go to this very first slide so you can see exactly where that is. I can't really think. So it's worklessraisemore.com /3 phases in crisis fundraising. I'll let maybe Randy wants to type that into the questions or type that somewhere for everybody. But if people are saying that to you, watch that, send them that link, because this explains, you will never raise back what you don't go out and fundraise now. That opportunity is going to be lost. We can wave it goodbye from the shore, but there are some predictable phases in here, and we're in phase 1, and pretty soon we'll be in phase 2. So that's why I'm encouraging you to get out there and fundraise now. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my other slide. Hopefully you guys all got that. And I'm going to keep going down the list here and answering these awesome questions. Okay, Holly said, my staff have been furloughed. How do I show that they are essential? You have to do the best fundraising that you can do. And you can make a case to, I don't know the specifics, but you can make a case to leadership. A lot of organizations are making really difficult decisions right now. A lot of organizations are cutting back. The best way that you can weather this storm, I sound like a broken record, is to fundraise through this. Tell your donors how they can help and why their support is so important now. Nicole asked, how do you suggest we go about engaging new donors? I would start with engaging the donors that you have and getting the donors that you have to step up to the plate. I'm not saying, I feel like in terms of doing new donor acquisition, I mean, you could certainly do some like, you know, peer-to-peer stuff. You could certainly do some challenge stuff where you have people fundraising on your behalf. But this is, I would start with the donors that you have and kind of go from there. So Kristen said, we're in a rural community, donations have completely dried up. We're not sure where to turn. Suggestions for small rural located organizations. We're all, I mean, you know, we're all in this together. You've got to be nimble. You have to be, think outside the box. There's the CARES Act. You can certainly apply to the CARES Act. I'm sure you guys all know about that right now and have heard about that right now. There are grants that you can apply for. You know, maybe there are community foundations. There are a lot more, obviously, grant opportunities and foundations stepping up to the plate to help organizations. I would just get out there and start looking. Ellen said, how to compete with several large community-wide funds which have cropped up. You have to make your case. You have to make your case, and you have to be relevant and timely and communicate with your donors. You have to let your donors know that you're thinking about them. This is why about 70% of this presentation was about you connecting with your donors, whether you pick up the phone, whether you send them a text message, whether you send them a card, whether you're giving them, you know, I love that example that I just made up this morning for Audubon, and I can't wait to email them that with a bird, showing them that you're thinking about them. This is your opportunity. You've got to be innovative and be out of the box, and you've got to be nimble and fast on your feet right now. I'm just going to keep going through these. And Anne-Marie said she's afraid to alienate the current donor base. You know, one of the things that I see so many fundraisers out there, and they're having success with their fundraising, and it reassures me, like, because I hear so many people are afraid right now, and I totally get it, but your donors loved you before, and there's no reason to not love you now. There is literally no reason to not love you now. Miriam said, I'm ready to get going. Let's see here, more questions. My board members are uncomfortable making an ask, and we're trying to give them a good script outline. So I have a resource on my website. It is rachelmuir.com/ask, and it has actual scripts for making the ask. Of course, this is the, you know, you need to, if you need to tell them how you're being impacted and how their gift is going to make a difference. That always works, but you can use that. You can grab that right now and use that. Okay, so Courtney said it's not a fear of the ask, it's a fear of the awkward, especially when the donor themselves have been severely impacted. You guys, you have to let your donors decide for themselves. They are adults, and they are going to decide for themselves. If they want to sit this one out, they're going to sit this one out. If they want to step up, they're going to step up. You don't make that decision for them. I became a monthly donor to the Humane Society of Northeast Georgia. They called me and personally thanked me. I was blown away. My heart was so full. Then I saw this hilarious, like, you know, Catman Bob on the interwebs pretending to be Carol Baskin. And I was like, oh my God, I got to make a donation to that. I mean, I can't stop myself. You know, this is, I mean, it's not up. You know, a lot of fundraisers have been like, she just made a gift 3 days ago. She just became a monthly donor 3 days ago. She already wants to make another gift. I'm an adult. You let me decide. I'm a big girl, and I'm going to make a decision. I'm an adult. Don't be afraid. If they don't want to give, they're not going to give. You guys are smart and you're amazing, but you're not going to trick a donor into giving to you when they don't want to give. And if you are authentic and if you do great fundraising, you're not going to offend anyone. Inviting people to make the world a better place is not offensive. Do you agree that that is not offensive, Randy? I think Randy would agree with me there. I'm just going to keep going through these questions here. Monica said, I'm a new non-for-profit that opened just before COVID-19 and find myself in a very difficult situation. All our donation strategies are out the door. Our clients don't want to spend money and our events are being pushed. The donors are questioning our ethics. Okay. Your donation strategy shouldn't be out the door. Of course, your events are getting pushed back, but there's still an opportunity to support your organization. You just have to tell donors how they can support your organization now. Dennis said, if you offend a big donor who pulls their big gifts, you would be in even bigger trouble. Well, I mean, if you authentically invite a donor to support the organization, I mean, I can't imagine a donor being offended. I have seen bad fundraising, but good fundraising doesn't offend donors. Respectfully and passionately and emotionally inviting a donor to give to your organization doesn't offend people. If they don't want to give, they won't give. But I feel like a lot of this angst and a lot of this fear and a lot of this resistance for a lot of people may be coming from, you may have donors who haven't been stewarded, who haven't been appreciated, who maybe only hear from you when you need a gift. And if you're that organization, and if that's where a lot of your fears are coming from, I hope that you will take part in some of these stewardship strategies, because you have an opportunity to have your donors feel connected to you and a part of your organization and like their gifts matter and make a difference. Chelsea said, what are your thoughts on moving forward with direct mail pieces? A rising tide lifts all boats. If you can continue to do direct mail, go for it, but many of you may not be able to, and you may only be able to do email appeals. So this is a good time to be getting email addresses and phone numbers from all of your donors. This is another great reason to pick up your phone and call your donors. And while you're on the phone with them, if you don't have an email address, get one. Let's see here. Ashley said, we're sending a donate link in our emails, but not a specific appeal. Would love to hear your thoughts on that approach. You will definitely get a bigger impact when you give people a specific appeal. They need to feel like their gift is tangible, that it's meaningful, that it makes a difference, that it's specific. That's gonna, being vague isn't going to work. Multiple updates and one appeal. Yes, you can do, you need to be out there communicating with your donors. I'm seeing organizations doing multiple updates and multiple appeals. I'm seeing organizations doing as many as 2 updates and stewardship and a couple of appeals in a 7-day week. So see, I think I've answered everything. I'm like about halfway done with this screen here. Let's see.
You, of course, are not disappointing at all, Rachel. This is amazing stuff. And the good news is I've been doing some of these things. So I am actually following your lead on a lot of this stuff.
Awesome. Kathy asked, we're thinking of doing a thinking of you mailing for $1,000 or more donors. A quick 3-sentence card letting them know we're thinking of them. No, ask, what do you think? Go for it. I gave you lots of examples. I mean, this was so low tech. I gave you examples. I mean, you know, yes, you can pick up the phone with major donors. And I mean, I want you to pick up the phone and talk to donors. I want you to thank your donors. I want you to just ask your donors, how are you doing? You start with your major gift donors and keep working it down the list. You have other staff members that could help. Maybe you have board members that can help. This is the time. I mean, I don't want you to overthink this like a kid, you know, trying to go down the slide at the park in days when we took our kids to the park and they went down the slides and we weren't worried about them getting the coronavirus from touching the slide. But I don't want you to overthink this. I want you to get out there and communicate and thank your donors and show them that you ask them how they're doing. That's one easy, simple thing that you can do to do a lot to really build and deepen the donor relationship. So I'm almost at the end of these. I'm just looking through. Rachel asks, what if you're at the beginning of your fundraising journey as an organization and you don't have solid relationships with your donors? This is the time to build them, Rachel. Does reaching out now seem insensitive as we have really not engaged with them before besides basic acknowledgements, email updates? No, this is, Rachel, have you been here through this whole webinar? It is not insensitive to show that you care. You have an opportunity to comfort your donors and have them feel heard and loved by you and connected to you. That's the one thing that we're all missing right now is connectedness. And you have an opportunity to do it. And if you're new, play the new card. I'm new here. I've been here 6 months. I never thought I'd be in a position like this, but I just want to thank you for being part of our family. And check in with you and ask how you're doing. This is the time. I see so many people who are like, just their own fears are getting in the way. And I don't want your fears to get in the way because we can't let our fears paralyze us. You have a big job to do. Claudia asked, after sending emails wondering how our donors are, should I expect that they literally answer how they are? And should I answer them back? They might. I've been getting more, I send emails and I invite people to webinars that I'm doing. And lately I've had people just write me back and say, oh my God, I got an email yesterday from someone and she just wrote, I love you, Rachel. And I was like, oh my God, I love you too. And it was so sweet and so special to hear from her. And I asked her how she was doing. And she was the one who said, well, some days are chickens and some days are feathers. And I just felt so connected and it made me think about her and remember her and how awesome she is and how I can't wait to see her when all this is over. So they might answer you back, especially if you just say, how are you? What, don't you want that? I mean, this is your time. This is your moment in the sun to get to know these people and develop a relationship. And yes, if they respond to you, answer them back. Have a conversation. They're donors. They're nice people. They're not evil. They're just like us. They put their shoes on the same way, just like me and Randy every day. Okay, so Renee asked a really good question. What about moving forward with a capital campaign? Should I pause and just keep communication open? Volunteers or concerned people won't be making multi-year pledges with economic uncertainty. We're all impacted by this differently, depending on who we are, how we invest, what our jobs are, our age, our disposable income, everything else, okay? We're all impacted by this differently. I went through a recession during my capital campaign, and here's what we did. We did not stop it. We had to overcome objections because we had board members who were afraid and wanted to stop it, but we didn't stop it. We split it into 2 phases, and that was a way that we showed more momentum and more, and we ended up completing the whole thing, but we split it up into 2 phases so that we could reach our first phase sooner and be closer to reaching that and have that natural momentum and success and kind of like comfort everyone. So that's what we did. We didn't stop. We just split it into 2 phases, and you should be having regular meetings with your capital campaign committee members and talking about that with them. So Karen said, I was told not to send emails to donors and volunteers, and I'm not sure. I don't know. You should communicate with your donors and with your volunteers. Fundraising on Facebook is a whole nother webinar. How to fundraise on Facebook is a whole nother webinar. And yes, everyone is getting the recording. I love Sarah said, shout out to Stephen Screen and all his help during this crisis. His emergency e-appeal pep talk and walkthrough is invaluable and helped Rachel Muir. There are a lot of great resources that Stephen Screen has. I mentioned that he does that free review every Friday. I totally encourage you guys to go to the link that I shared, where if you have people who are challenged with fundraising and not on board with it, you can kind of see what projection he and Jeff Brooks are making in terms of the phases of this crisis, because it is a real plea for getting in front of it soon. Karen said she was told to not to send out emails because the middle school and upper school heads were also sending out emails, and emails coming from her would be too much. It sounds like Karen has different audiences, and many of you may be in that position where maybe they're parents and they're also, or maybe that you have parents, maybe you have alum, maybe you have donors, and they may be wearing many hats, but showing that you care about human beings in this crisis, I mean, you flat out can't go wrong with that. And not developing relationships with your donors, not communicating with your donors is a surefire way to have them not remember you or be top of mind or be thinking about you and how they can help you in this crisis. So I feel like that's pretty much.
You have gone above and beyond, Rachel. We had so many people on this webinar and so many questions were coming in. And so thank you so much for sticking around and helping all of these folks out that have all of these amazing questions around this time.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure to be with you guys today.
Oh, I always love hearing from you, Rachel. We should do this again sometime.
Absolutely. Count me in.
All right. Thank you to everyone for listening, and go out and put these things into place. They are tried and true. And thank you so much, Rachel, for sharing.
You bet.
Everyone have a great day.